Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines. Raphael is cool but rude. Michelangelo is a party dude. Scott and Scoo just review toys.
Knock, knock, you about to get.
The 1980s saw the development of some very interesting dudes. 4 dudes that we've come to know and love.
Yep.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Now it started in mid to late 80s, the Eastman Laird comics.
Yes, indeed they did. Started out in the mid-80s. The comic books were very much a parody of a lot of trends which were popular in comics at the time. You had teenage, such as the Teen Titans of DC, which were a lot of the teenage heroes.
Yep.
Mutant, coming from the X-Men comics, which were extremely popular at the time.
Yeah.
Ninjas were very, very popular in Frank Miller's Daredevil run at that time as well.
They're ninjas.
So they started with the comics. They went through from there over the years into a cartoon series.
Yeah.
There was a movie or several movies that came out. Then it went back into television, probably more comics as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And this year, with the big release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, where they're now CGI, fully fleshed out characters.
Exactly.
But it all started with the comic, right?
It did. And what we've got here is we've got 4 of the NECA Turtles reflecting the original comics. Now these are a little bit different in that they reflect the later reprints of the original comic, because the original comic was in black and white.
Now I've read the original comic book, I remember it as a kid. It was a little bit dark and grittier than what Turtles went on to become after that. Interestingly, they were all wearing red bandanas. They had no letters on their belts to differentiate them. The only thing that really separated them was their weapons.
Raph! What'd you do? I don't know. I couldn't think of anything, so I just stabbed him with my size.
They then got turned into a animated series, which is where a lot of people got to know them from.
So we've got a representation here of the cartoon series, which was next in line after the comic books.
Yep.
4 turtles here with their colours, as you say. They've got the letters on the belts. Still got all the weapons that we know them for.
Yep.
And they look a bit more sort of, well, they look different, don't they? How are they different?
They do. I mean, the first thing that you really notice being different with them is that they have lost the tail which the original versions of the characters did. You can kind of understand why they'd do that. In animation, having a little tail in that particular position could look like something else. But, we won't talk about that, especially not in front of the kids. So yeah, they went for the coloured masks to help identify them, and you notice that that colour is repeated not just in the mask, but also in their elbow pads and knee pads and wristbands. So they really become very colour identified. So of course, after the success of the cartoon, it was only natural that they'd then want to expand into movies. And we did get a live action movie in 1990, and we've got those character designs represented on this side. With these particular toys, you can see that they are based off a similar system, but they are actually entirely new sculpts. They do have much more detailed shells, the faces are new. You can see that they did carry over the colour masks to help identify which character is which.
But the knee pads, the elbow pads, they're back to a basic brown.
Basic brown.
Yeah.
They feel more real and weighty because they are reflecting the live action versions of them.
Right, absolutely. So that represented the 20th century versions of the Ninja Turtles, and now we're having a look at the 21st century versions.
But there are a few versions in between the late 20th century, early 21st century that unfortunately I don't have represented here. There was, of course, the very poorly received Ninja Turtles The Next Mutation live action series, most famous for having introduced Venus de Milo, the female turtle, who was very quickly dropped. Not a very successful series. There was also the very successful early 2000s series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was a regular cell animated cartoon where they did take a lot more elements from the comic books and utilise those. And then there was also the TMNT computer animated movie, which came out in about 2007, I think it was, which again did okay, but never was successful enough to be able to spawn any sequels or more television series or anything like that. So that pretty much brings up to the next major turning point in the Turtles' history, and that's when they were sold to Nickelodeon. So Nickelodeon now owns the Turtles lock, stock and barrel. These ones came out in 2012, and they were actually quite a big hit. You can see that they've retained that colour scheme again. in terms of the masks representing each of the individual characters, but still having just the plain brown wrappings and elbow pads and knee pads. There's not very much in the way of paint applications on them, but they're great for kids to play with. They're still easily available pretty much everywhere.
That's good.
And the pricing is very, very good for an action figure nowadays.
Yeah, cool. Now, it's been a while since a live-action movie.
We're turtles, friend. The Teenage Mutant Ninja variety.
Yep.
I think it was Turtles Through Time was probably the last sort of live-action Ninja Turtles movie.
Ohio wasabi. Hello, mustard? Okay, so my Japanese is a little rusty.
But this year they released, it was a much highly anticipated movie of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's just what it's called. It's not part 4 or anything like that. It's a whole new thing, a reboot.
Yep.
There's been a bit of debate as to whether they actually sort of really looked like turtles, that, the way that people remember them.
There's not that much debate.
No, there's
they
not much.
don't look like the turtles people know them. And
No, whoa, chill. It's just a mask. See? Don't freak out. Right?
And so you can definitely see that there are some major differences in the way that these turtles are designed as opposed to any of the previous versions that we've been looking at. To my mind, some of these guys look a bit more like the variants that you had on Turtles from the original toy line, where you had Jungle Attack Leo and Astronaut Donatello and all that sort of thing. They look like they're wearing costumes rather than being Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I understand the reasoning behind it. I don't think it works terribly well, and I don't think it's necessary.
They're ninjas.
But what is cool to see is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are still around today. They are still as strong and as prevalent today, and loved by kids, and now loved by adults who used to be kids when they first came about. So that is cool to see, and they will continue to go on into the future, I think. Yay.
You want to get f***ed up? Yeah. You got some weed? That purple? All right. Let's go. Excuse us. Better go get some weed. Let's run by the gas station first.
So that wraps up our look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over the years reflected through their toys. What's your favourite incarnation? Let us know in the comments below, leave a video reply, share this video, like it, subscribe, tell your friends about us.
And we'll see you next time on OSD. Now get outside and go play with some toys.